Hey, and welcome back to the Wicked Wild. It's your boy, the Hillbilly host Dave, broadcasting from the west coast of the Appalachian Mountains. And this week we are heading back into the deep woods in the name of romance. And this is truly looking for love in all the wrong places. But before we get into that, let me introduce you to our host this evening. We're going to start with Eli, my boy up in Pittsburgh. And I thought you would probably be excited when you saw this movie to see your buddy Balfour back at it again.
You know, I sometimes you say things, and I sit
Just
here
hurtful things.
and I just sit here and you know what's weird though? I have struggled with this movie for years and I finally figured out how I feel about it, and then you just come in and just poop all over my chest.
I'm sorry, but every time I see him now, all I can think of his face stretched over Leatherface's skull and how goofy that looked.
Well,
Yep.
you know
In
what
my
though?
opinion.
Yep.
You know what though? Listen, was that movie perfect? No.
No, it was not.
Okay.
Not
No.
even close.
But like it was enjoyable. I have a good time every time I watch it. You know.
It was inoffensive.
Listen,
Except for all the ways it was offensive.
was it listen, I don't care what horror movie we speak of, none are as offensive as antlers. Okay.
Fair.
So you come
To
at
you.
me. Well,
you.
to the world. I heard Congress is trying to ban it with TikTok.
And then we also have Jaime up in New York, New York. And I wanted to ask you a question. Do you now prefer your black bears with or without Coke? Because these are very different behaviors.
I'll tell you one thing. If we're going based on that movie versus this movie, 1,000 times with Coke, please. Please give the bear something.
Need your
Something
bears
to do.
hyped. This one
Yeah.
was just being a little too bear for Jaime.
This one was a little too bear and a little not in this movie at all, except for 2 minutes. So, but we'll
And
get
then-
there.
yeah, we've got a lot to talk about tonight. Then we got John up in Detroit, Michigan, or the greater metropolitan Detroit area.
The Metro Detroit area.
And I had a question for you too, John, as I was thinking about
Hit me with it.
Because obviously, and we've referenced this several times, as a resident single bachelor,
Yeah,
I
that's
wanted
me.
I wanted to give you a free piece of advice. If you're ever planning, if you meet that person, whoever it is, and you start planning an engagement plan, please, for the love of God, don't take any notes from this guy's book. Okay, this was like the worst idea ever for an engagement story.
You know what I feel like a big rule is? If you think you know where a place is that
You
is
don't.
remote in the woods, don't go.
Especially if the ranger that works there tells you you're gonna need a map.
Yeah.
A free map. It's a friggin' piece of paper. Please take it.
The universe was literally working against them because he didn't know where he was going. And you know what he said? Fuck you, universe. I am man. Watch me fuck this all up.
We'll get there. This movie hit every single cliche beat that you could hit for this movie.
So Dave, what was the question? It sounded more like a statement or a piece of advice, not really a question.
I guess it was more advice, but I guess my question is, would you ever
Would you? Yeah.
plan an
Um,
engagement to take somebody who doesn't like being outside into the middle of nowhere?
Probably not. I would probably. I mean, I might take them to a very pretty like publicly paved nature path that's pretty easy going and easy to get to. But yeah, no, backwoods or wilderness hiking, not my idea of a good time, let alone a proposal.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's good to know. So, as you've probably figured out, and again, we mentioned this last time, if you clicked on this episode, you know we're talking about Backcountry.
Unless it just runs, Dave. I did think of that. Unless it just
if it just
comes
play
up
alls.
next. Yeah.
That's true.
But the title is still there.
But you're not
Who's
looking at
reading
your
those
phone. You're not
titles?
looking at your phone.
Well,
or
like, if
something.
it changes, why would you look at your phone and be like, oh, what's playing next?
Oh my God.
Okay.
Wow.
But before we get into the actual breakdown of the movie review, I'm going to hand off to Eli to give us our Wicked Whispers.
You know, when we decided to start doing the Wicked Whispers, I thought, man, some weeks may be hard to find something, because I remember a couple years ago, as someone who likes to delve in the darkness, sometimes it's hard to find it. 2023 is just a year of no fucks to give.
It's a rich tapestry.
Every week it just throws more and more. Got two crazy stories for you. One for all you Bridgerton fans out there, which I've never watched because it looks stupid. And two, aliens just keep coming back. So you know what, Dave? I'll let you pick. Do you want the Bridgerton news story or the alien one first?
Well, we've been banging the alien drum for a while. Let's mix it up. Let's do Bridgerton.
Yeah, we'll start Bridgerton first, right? So as you all know, Bridgerton, however you say it, is this Netflix show about, I don't know, I've never watched it. No clue what it's about.
It's Beverly Hills 90210 set in England.
Oh, right on. Cool. Sounds dumb. But so they're currently filming the new season, right? And as they were filming and like getting ready and like taking pictures of sets and locations and all this stuff, they took a picture of a cemetery that apparently is going to be in the upcoming filming, where when they looked at the picture, there is an image of what appears to be a ghost, a figure of a ghostly woman bent over at a grave, like holding the stone, like looking at a stone, and no one can explain it. So I think the ghosts out there are like, we're talking about aliens, AI. Start fucking your tip. So now the aliens are just coming out. The aliens got no fucks left to give. They're coming out on a shitty Netflix show. They don't even care. And then here's where it gets crazy. The same day this story was reported, the aliens are like, we're not going to be outdone by ghosts on Bridgerton. A small town in Brazil, which I'm going to fuck up their name. Or no, I'm sorry, not Brazil, Bolivia. Harina La Paz reported last week that this it's a little rural village that in the middle of the night, the villagers started to notice like green flashing lights coming up in the village. And as they went out to investigate, a lot of them reported seeing little like figures, like almost like very small children running all over the streets.
Ooh.
Apparently someone got scared and fucking swung, which I feel like if it looks like a child, maybe your first instinct should be not to swing. But this guy said, hell with it. He'd been looking to kick a kid, kicked it right in the gutter, and it died. And then all of a sudden things stopped, and there was this like greenish gray figure laying in the gutter, and they all took pictures of it, right? And like they went to get like their leader of their village, and like people were trying to rush and look at it and stuff. And in the in all of the craziness, the thing went missing.
And now we're at intergalactic war.
Very quickly after, officials of the Bolivian government ship like, hey, someone called us and said, you guys saw aliens, there's deadly, where is it? And they're all like, how'd you get here so fast? One, because even if we called you, you shouldn't be here this fast. And two, like it was in the gutter and now it's gone. And now they're like blaming them. And they're like, we need to investigate this thing. What'd you do with it? And now people are thinking either the government's trying to cover it up and like blame the village for all this, or someone stole this alien baby. And now no one's good. So now like you have this village in Bolivia, this small rural village, scared to death because one, some asshole in their village killed an alien. And two, they don't know where it went. So great times to be alive.
You know, if I had been playing the Deadpool on who's going to set off the intergalactic war, they would have been much closer to where I live than in Bolivia.
Yeah, you think so, right?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody had Bolivia on the, especially, or like, I think we all would have picked a city, right?
Right.
And I don't think any of us would have picked some guy who's apparently really wanted to just punt a child. And it just happened to be his lucky day because he's like, oh, if it's an alien kid, it's not human.
Exactly. This is totally fine.
Mm-hmm.
Well, on that note, we're going to jump over to our On the Fly synopsis. And as you remember in our Cloverfield episode, Mr. John was called upon to do our synopsis. So he gets to be asked a question this week to see who our random synopsizer is going to be this week.
Exciting.
So in your opinion, John, what is the backcountry landscape you'd most like to explore with a romantic interest? Is it
Okay.
going to be a forest ecosystem or a desert or a frozen tundra?
Ooh, definitely forest.
Going with the forest. Eli,
Oh, okay. All right. That's all I was
call
hoping
to
to
the
get.
office.
All right. That's all I was hoping to get. Okay. All right.
Oh my God, he's finally
That's what I was hoping to
Oh,
get.
and he doesn't have any
Don't have it.
questions on which one he is.
Because
I'm a-
it's
or-
trees.
I'm a
Because
woods
there's
guy.
trees there.
I'm a woodsman, you know?
You're
I'm
not
a woodsman.
asking who's the desert. You're not
I don't-
asking
I don't care.
He
who's
I
the
doesn't
frozen
care.
tundra.
Don't
He
care.
only cares when it applies
Don't care.
to him.
Got what I
Kathleen.
wanted.
Like,
I
it's,
got the one I wanted. It wasn't
Wow.
mockery and it wasn't
it's never mockery.
encroaching on my character. Oh, coming from the one who always gets one of the cool ones. You don't know. All right. You don't know.
Well, Merry Christmas, Eli.
Thank you. Thank you. You're making me like you made my Grinch heart grow one size closer to being normal. Hey, this movie pretty easy to summarize. You have an asshole who decides he wants to propose to his lady, and he thought, man, what would be the most romantic way to do this? Oh, I know. I kind of remember this like waterfall place in the woods I was at like one time.
When I was 10.
When I was 10, I don't remember where it's at, how to get there. Don't know how much stuff I should bring. We'll figure it out when we get there. Remember as I get there. And as the universe directs him to like, hey, here's a map. Here's dead animal carcasses. Maybe you should turn around and go back. He raises his middle finger to the universe and says, we shall proceed. They meet a creepy, not your Mr. Rogers type, not a park ranger. And then they decide, well, you know what? We're going to sleep in our tent. When the universe is like, we're going to send our boy the bear in and just fuck his day up. And now his fiance has to get back to the car while a big ass bear chases her. And shenanigans ensue.
They sure do.
No shenanigans ensue. Nothing happens.
Hey, not all shenanigans are exciting. Some shenanigans are boring.
Okay, fine. Fair enough.
All right. And since she has strong opinions, I'm going to let Jaime jump off her opinion. Had you seen this before this watching? And what do you think?
I have never seen this before. And I watched it actually like today. So it's fresh. I'm gonna say in my opinion, watching this movie, it was a chore to get through, and it's not even long. It starts like, and I wanted these people to die immediately after they were singing in the fucking car. Then it has every cliche beat, like everybody has mentioned, like starting from like, don't go this trail. Insisting you know what you're doing, but won't take help. Making fun of her for bringing supplies that you basically want to throw away that you'll need later in the movie. A stranger danger who never comes back and is the only cast member in this movie that I actually know. And I'm not sure why he was in it for like a red herring that's not even a red herring, because at least bring him back to be like maybe like sinister or something. Everything. The moment the movie starts, I was like, he's going to propose. He's planning on proposing. Like everything, this hit every beat that was so obvious, which is fine if it didn't take. This movie is an hour and a half on Tubi with commercials. So it's got to be a breezy 120, if that, or whatever.
Yeah, it's under 90. Yeah.
Because it was 90 with the unless it's just counting the movie time. I don't know. But I had to keep watching. It takes over an hour before the bear does a thing. And then the bear is gone in 3 minutes. And then you're back to just her in the woods. I just lost interest. I watched it, but I just kept fading on this movie. Like I could not be engaged with this no matter how hard I tried. I mean, I wrote a few things down and I did watch it, but I just could not believe how much I didn't give two shits about this movie watching. And it's just because it's boring. I'm not saying anybody's like super terrible or anything, but I just nothing about this movie interested me in the least.
It didn't do a thing for you.
The end.
All right, Eli, was this your first watch? Have you seen this before?
It was not. It was a blind watch for me. Years ago, on Netflix. And I remember when I first watched it, I was like, man, I think I like this, but I don't know. And I've watched it a couple times. since then. And then like I think I kind of nailed down what I feel about this movie. I don't really give a shit about the people. Like it's like that whole red herring with what's his name, and I'm pretty
Eric
sure
Balfour.
Yeah, Eric Balfour.
Why'd he have to be Irish? I just want to throw that out there right now because like.
Well, I think if I remember, there's a deleted scene where either he was killed by the bear or he was like trying to get her and the bear killed him or something. I don't remember. It was stupid. And like the hut, like the whole, like the walking through the, like lost in the woods looking for a waterfall. Like I don't care about that, but this may be one of my favorite depictions of a bear attack because I think it is very realistic. And like, for some reason, which kind of scares me, makes me never want to walk in the woods with Mary. She's obsessed with watching those like I was attacked by animal shows, and I'm always scared to death if we're ever near an animal. She's gonna like push me in front of it. But like you watch all these, and they talk about like when people talk about getting a bear attacked, and like that tent scene is like not terrifying in the sense of like this is like, but like just imagining being in that tent, being her, there's nowhere to go. And you're just watching that bear go to town on what may be the most buttered fingered and dopey man I've ever seen on film. Like that, like I really enjoy the bear stuff. And I really kind of like, yeah, could this been a perfect movie if like everything around the bear would have been better? Probably. If they had more of the bear in it, maybe. Like I'm okay with how much, because like that's the thing too, like bear attacks aren't ever. Yeah, you know what though? Like I'm okay with that because like there's like after that bear attacks, like there's tension of like holy shit, is that bear like when's that bear gonna pop out? Like I'm fine with that stuff.
I never wondered if he was coming back.
Yeah, I know. Like yeah, like I get it, but for me, like I like the realism of the bear attack because like that shit's frightening. Like bears are no joke. But I think like it's weird. I think I just like the bear parts, and the rest of the movie I give three shits about, and like it's one of those movies where I'm okay like with this bullshit on the background, but as soon as that tent scene comes on, I'm glued in because like that is a I think it's a real like that's where all the money went, not in the acting, not in the like they like that tent scene, because that tent scene was phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, John, thoughts?
I never saw it until today.
Oh, okay.
Actually, was not feeling so hot, so I took the day off from work. So I was pretty zoned in, and when I was watching this, where I think all of us have pretty crazy lives in terms of we don't always have a ton of time to watch movies. So sometimes, like Jaime, we multitask, and we watch the movie while we're working. But today was not one of those days, which I was actually, I don't know if it's my mindset or whatever, but Jamie's not wrong. There are some moments of boredom, but oddly, I was kind of like keyed in on their like little goofy trip out to the woods and all the way through. And it's like, okay, this is like, I set my expectations probably so low. I was surprised, and I was like, this isn't bad. And then as I'm looking at movie posters, seeing it was at the Toronto Movie Film Festival, I'm like, I got where this is coming from. This is that level, and for that level, I think he's swinging way above his weight class.
Yeah,
like
he's punching up for sure.
Yeah, but in the bear scene, like Eli said, I totally agree. It's great, and I think they could have done some more bear hints, I think, to kind of lead that tension up a little bit more with the bear, because we are so focused on the tension between the couple. And I mean, again, it might be because I'm like not feeling so hot, but like her comments up where he was like, I was going to propose. And it's like, dummy, how did you not know? And then she like lays him out and basically guts him emotionally. It's like, man, that cuts deep. Like that's rough. And you're
as deep as that bear.
No shit.
to your point about punching up, this was based on a true story. And I feel like he thought, oh, this will be an easy movie to make. And then he's like, no, I don't know how to do a story about people.
No, yeah. No, it was all real base level. It wasn't anything unique. And like, yeah, the Ed Balfour thing, the Irish thing did feel a little, I was waiting for like a payoff, because everything else was like paid off and foreshadowed. Like as soon as you say, oh, you don't need that flare. We all know that flare. You're going to need that. The map, we all know you're going to need that. It was like this was a more palatable version of Blair Witch for me, I realized. And once I saw the map reference. However, My most boring part is her running back, her escaping the bear. Like that goes on way, way too long. Not that it wouldn't take long in real time, but it's like, all right, dude, you're drawing this like way out. And I was really, really upset when she fell. Dave, you know exactly where my head probably went when she fell.
Yep.
I'm like, no. If you show me a compact fracture, I'm probably gonna throw up my mouth a little bit. Good news, not compact fracture, so we're good.
Just on the edge, the skin held.
But before I throw it back, I find it interesting looking at this director's like filmography as a director. He did a movie called Pie Wacket, which I believe Eli has seen.
I did.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed that basically Hollywood said, all right, son, give me the keys back. After that, they said no more. He has not directed really anything of note since then. A couple
he's
TV
gone to
series.
TV stuff, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But real sparingly.
Pie Wacket.
So how was Pie Wacket? I remember listening to that show that you were on, Eli, but I don't remember what was your takeaway.
You know what? Once again, it's the same thing where like the 2 minutes Pie Wacket's actually in it may be one of the scariest and like coolest visuals I have ever seen. I gave 3 to no shits less about everything else. Like it was boring and stupid, except for like, but those 2 minutes, like it was crazy because it's the same way with this fucking bear in this movie. Like it's like almost painful at times. And then that fucking bear comes on. It's like, oh, I forgive you. You're a beautiful girl. Take me back. I didn't mean the things I said about you 10 minutes ago. I'm sorry, baby. Ooh, look at that bear. And then it's done. I'm like, all right, fuck you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. Like, Pie Wacket was the same way. That's the best description I can give of it.
Okay.
Fair enough. So for me, I did do a little research, but I couldn't find anything. I don't know if y'all found anything about it, but I don't know that this got a theatrical release at all. It may have gone direct to stream. But as John mentioned, it is a Canadian indie, and Canada does a great job of supporting indie horror. So thank you, Canada. We just talked about one a few weeks ago with The Void, but this movie, I didn't know this movie existed until it got pushed to me pretty hard on Hulu just because of, and I totally get it. I mean, as far as a algorithm movie for Dave, this is, and I think John said it earlier on our community, this is a Dave ass movie. It's probably a really good way of describing this movie because it is. When I first saw it off on Hulu, I liked it, but I didn't think it was going to stand out. I didn't think it was going to be something that really stuck with me at all. I enjoyed the process of watching the movie, but then I was really surprised at how much I thought about the movie in the days and weeks after the movie. And it wasn't the bear attack that I spent a lot of time thinking about. It was what happened. And this is just because this is the way Dave's brain works. It was what were the mistakes that were made all along the way that got them to the point that they ended in this bad situation. Because that's the way Dave views the world. What did they do that I wouldn't do?
How many were there, Dave?
Yeah, everything in this movie.
Did they do anything right?
No.
Yeah, and that was one of the questions I had. What I realized is that this movie feels like a passion project by Adam MacDonald. And I really get the sense, and I don't know what you all think, because I know you all enjoy the outdoors as well, but this really feels like it was made by somebody who's an outdoors enthusiast. Like, yes, some of the stuff is very much tropey, but they're tropes of things that really experience, like watching another hiker pull off their toenail. If you've done any hiking for a long period of time, you've seen that happen, and it is horrible.
No,
because you know that person's life is going to suck for the rest of the trip. But yeah, that stuff happens. I've watched my daughter do it on the back.
Oh God, gross.
But yeah, there are things in there that, and it wasn't even like it was inside baseball stuff, but it was stuff that if you know kind of stuff. Like if you do backpacking or if you do backcountry wilderness hiking, these are things that stand out to you. And that's the thing that I realized I enjoyed about it is arduous. It is boring. Like backpacking is trying to get to a destination. The actual act of getting there over 12 to 15 miles in a day is just mind-numbing, one foot in front of the other, walking through the woods, letting your mind kind of go loose. You start hearing things, you start seeing things. And I appreciated that this movie really did lean into that, of like, it wasn't going to be apologetic, that there are going to be some just scenes of them paddling through the lake or of walking through the woods, but the way it escalates. And one of the questions I had is, this feels much less like a creature feature than it does a folk horror. Like the pace that it has is much more folk horror than it is creature feature, at least in my estimation. The bear attack is like the big event that happens. And if you've ever read any stories about catastrophes out in the backcountry and stuff, that's the way that stuff happens. It's like, I'm out here trying my best to survive first and foremost without any support line. And then something terrible happens. And now I've got to figure out, what the hell do I do now? That's kind of how these backcountry events are. It wasn't that the bear attacked. It was that the bear attacked, and then the bear is going to go be a bear. And I'm left 20 miles completely lost in the middle of nowhere with these injuries. And I've got to figure out how to get back. And it doesn't make for good movie. If you're in it for something like, if you're in it for a high paced, scene after scene, creature feature, something like that, that's not what you get with this movie. But it is really good to somebody like me who really enjoys that. Okay, now what the hell are you going to do? What is your next move? And then watching them make mistakes and shaking your heads. And, this is one of those movies that I actually had the experience of yelling at the screen of like, of all the things to grab out of his freaking backpack when you're trying to escape, you grab the ring. Fantastic. There's an axe in there we know of, but you want to grab the freaking engagement ring. Yes, it's slow. It is arduous, but I think that's kind of the point of a movie like this. That's sort of my apologetic position on a movie like this. And I will say, and you all know this, but our audience doesn't. This is a movie that Dave put on the list because I wanted to have this conversation, totally knowing that there were going to be some of my hosts that this is not your jam, but I wanted to have the conversation of, why do these movies have value as well? So that's my overall thoughts. Jump in here.
I will say, to your point about this being a passion project, that makes sense because this movie was made for $14,000.
Yeah,
wow.
They rubbed two nickels together.
It did one weekend in theaters and made $1,000 back.
Yep.
That's actually really impressive.
I don't.
But in its streaming licensing, it's made its money.
Oh yeah, it's definitely made its money back. But
I just wanted to say, I'm not sitting here even arguing that you guys liked the tent scene. I'm just saying, as someone who's watching it, not enjoying this movie, and the tent scene also did nothing for me. All I noticed that it was same bear shot, cut away. Same bear shot of him growl, yell it, whatever. And I get it, it's made for 14,000, but it felt like one of those movies that it kind of I know it wasn't produced this way, but it felt like when I watched those Asylum or even worse than Asylum movies where they only use one shot of a monster and they keep using it because it's the only one they have. And it was shot of the bear growling, whatever a bear does, roaring. I don't know. What is the term for a bear noise? Growling or roaring?
Growl.
So bear growling, cut to them. Keep in mind, most of the gore, not on screen, off screen after, so that they could just use a dummy ripped away for special effects. Those were kind of cool. But picture a bear growling, cut away, her face. Picture a bear growling, cut away. Nothing, literally her holding his hand, him getting pulled away. You don't even see him get pulled away. You see their hands and someone, we all know my taste. I'm sitting here, I'm just okay, this is doing nothing. Cool. Same bear shot. Got it. Okay, I waited an hour for this. Cool. It's over in 2 minutes. Done. Now we're back to her running through the woods. No bear ever to be seen again. Done.
Well, and it's funny, Jamie, because in this last watch, I had the experience of your voice in my head from the Cocaine Bear episode of you talking about the old 80s creature features where they didn't have CGI. They had a real creature, but it wasn't going to do anything. So you would do some B shots and then you would have the gore. That's exactly what this movie does. Which
I thought of it
budget
too.
They had, that's exactly what this movie is.
But I thought of that same conversation too. I'm glad you brought that up because I was laughing because we said that about old creature features and it's not, it's budget and technology. It's those two
Right.
things that either impact that. If it's more modern, it's budget. If it's old, it's technology sometimes. Like, but
and you could tell they weren't that he wasn't even either happy or at least confident with the way the effects turn out, because every shot of them is this shaky, completely blurred out kind of
found
image.
footage, but it's not a found footage movie.
Right,
Like you
exactly.
you got shaky cam for no reason.
See, I kind of thought he was doing that because when you like listen to, I thought he was doing that on purpose. When you listen to people talk about getting attacked by bears, like they all say like it's weird because like it's a blur. You just like see the bear in your face. Like you can't, like, it's weird because it's right there, but it's how fast it's moving and like how crazy it's shaking you. It's just like that bear stands in front of you.
This isn't a first person video game.
No, but like
you were watching this happen.
I'm not saying it's a first person video game. I'm saying they're using artistic license to try. I think they were trying to show that. Is all I'm saying. I'm not saying literally it's like first person video, but I think that they were just. I think he was just trying to. And for the budget and everything, I get, but like I think he was trying to incorporate that a little bit in the movie of like the kind of the realness of a bear attack, because like I don't think people because I don't think people realize how violent and like
and how fast it
world rocking and how fast and like a lot. And like the other thing too, like I wasn't even mad about the bear leaving, because like the other thing, like you see a lot of them, they're like, he was there, he wrecked my shit in 2 minutes and then he was gone, and then I spent 11 hours dragging my broken body out of the woods looking over my shoulder. Like I even think that, like I think that's why, like, I love bears when bears fuck people up. Not that, I mean, it's sad, but like, you don't fuck with a bear.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You don't fuck with any animal. They all can fuck you up. Pretty much every animal can fuck you up.
Yeah, but
your domesticated dog can fuck you up if it's the right, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, people gotta respect animals more than they do. No, maybe not your domesticated dog, but like some people's domesticated dogs can fuck you up.
But where I think where like bears are like different is like it's like it's just so big and like the power behind it, like it's like the Incredible Hulk of animal attacks.
Yeah, there's not a lot of hope in fighting back. Right.
Like you punch a bear in the eye, it's just gonna piss it off. And like we're like a shark, you poke in the eye and it'll let you like. Bear's like, nah, bro.
What you doing? Well, and Jamie, you brought up this point, and I did want to talk about it because I am impressed and happy that everything within this, as far as effects are concerned, are practical. And whoever their makeup effects person was, I thought they were pretty fantastic, especially when you know kind of the timeline and the budget they had. Like even during the attack, when it cuts to the boyfriend and half his face is hanging off of him, they're quick shots, but I think they're really effective in going, oh God, you know, that something is happening. And thoughts?
I'm looking up who did the special effects.
I don't have a lot of thoughts because I did not like this movie. I want to say, like, you brought up her going back for the ring, and that was in my notes because that infuriated me. That like that's what she picked up.
That's
and
the
like,
one thing she grabbed.
Fucking put on her finger in the middle of a bear attack, in the middle of caring about living, you're like surviving after your fiance just got ripped to shreds. Like it's like, but the symbolism of the ring, and let me put it on my finger. When you earlier called him a fucking loser to his face and told him he amounts to nothing.
Well, and that's the thing. Beautiful. As I've lived with this movie, and I watch this movie, just to be honest, I watch this movie at least once a year. It's something that I go back to.
Okay.
And the reason I go back to it is because unlike, and I can't remember, I apologize, maybe it was Eli or it may have been Jaime. Somebody talked about the relationship being pretty flat. I think the relationship is pretty.
Everybody hated them.
Pretty evocative of being pretty real, in the fact that there's the conversation between Balfour's character and the two main characters around the campfire, where the Balfour character is there just to antagonize the boyfriend. He's just there messing with the boyfriend. I don't even know if he really cares, or if I don't think he's trying to angle on Jen at all. I think he just realizes that Alex is this guy who's very self-conscious and not very confident, that he can just mess with. And that's what he does. But when he's talking about, you know, Alex talks about, oh, well, she's an attorney. And this guy says, well, what do you do? I work for my friend's landscaping group. Oh, okay. So there's this dynamic that's really not spoken that you then understand sort of the relationship dynamic between Alex and Jen, that he's always feeling a little inadequate. He's always feeling like he needs to prove himself. And then this whole trip makes a lot more sense, that this is the thing that he can show off in, that he has these outdoor skills, which he really doesn't have. He's kind of stretching himself in order to show off that he can be, quote unquote, the man for this woman that he wants to make his wife. And that goes sideways in a hurry. But there are conversations all the way up to where he has to finally admit that they are stone lost, and her reaction to that all feels like I'm watching a relationship devolve. Like I'm watching people really going through something, because, that the ego of the two people going through this thing, and her realizing that she did trust him. She did fully engage that he was capable, and how impressive her man is as an outdoor person. And he just flat lied to her. Like, she has been completely deceived by this person who has now put her in a position that she has no idea how to get out of. So I find that very engaging, because it is above and beyond just a backcountry hiking trip. That's sort of the way relationships work too. That there's a lot of all everyday mundane things that happen in a relationship. And we play these parts in the relationship that maybe we're overstepping or over promising our abilities. But then when something real happens, none of that being kind to one another or love and support and all that stuff that people talk about really ends up being worth anything when we have to get real with each other and say, you're a piece of crap. You lied to me and you are a loser.
I'll tell you what, for $13,000 to go back to the special effects, the people who did special, well, the people who did this went on to do like Marvel movies, The Witch. Okay. Well, Antlers. One of them, none of the Antlers. Thank God. Because this would be like, then I wouldn't have enjoyed the bear scene because it wouldn't have looked good.
You wouldn't have allowed yourself to enjoy the bear.
I wouldn't allow myself. I will say that I think, you know what's weird though? I think part of the reason I don't like that guy and his story is like to your point, like there are signs where like I remember growing up, like, going hunting in the woods. Like if you saw, we were always told if you see an animal that looks like it was attacked bigger than a rabbit, go turn the opposite direction, come back. Don't go further than that. Like that was a rule. So like when they walk by that thing and he sees it, I'm like, he's breaking the rule. What are you doing? And like,
you're actually who you say you are, this stuff.
Right. Like, exactly. And then I'm like, but like he's blatantly obvious not good. And she's like, no, okay, whatever you say. And it's like, well, you're just as dumb for being out there. And then like it also reminded me, like, because like there'd be kids like we grew up in the woods, but then you go to like kids' house and like you tell like they never went in the woods around their house. They'd be like, oh, I know this cool thing in the woods. Let's just follow me. And like after 20 minutes, you're looking at the other kid who's at that party, who's been in the woods. You're like, I don't think he
knows where he's going.
There's anything in here. Like, I don't think. And like, we both know, like, if the time comes, like, we could find our way back. Those other kids are dead.
Yeah.
Or food, whatever. Yeah.
So let me ask this, because I don't know what Jaime or John's experience with. Eli, you kind of shared yours. Since this was your first watch, did you go in fully cold? Did you look up any trailers or any of the marketing material, or did you just watch it?
I when I was looking for where the movie was, I read the whatever synopsis comes up when you're looking for the movie. Like, anything now, when you Google a movie so you can find out where it's streaming, it usually puts the movie right up top with like a synopsis. And boy, was this sold with it being a bear attack. And I was like, oh, we just saw Cocaine Bear. Here's another bear movie to compare and see. And to everybody listening, watch Cocaine Bear 8 times rather than watch this movie once. That's all I have to say.
Unless you're a Dave. And
yeah.
You know who you are out there. As John said, it's a Dave-ass movie. If you're a Dave, get in.
Oh, man. Is this ever a Dave-ass movie? But I'll be honest, like I didn't know anything about this movie. I didn't even know it was about a bear. I just knew Dave said, we're watching Backcountry. I looked up Backcountry. It came up. I threw it on. I was like, huh, okay. I did see a bear on the poster, so I had a sneaking suspicion. But no, I mean, we're kind of past the point, but just to kind of agree with Dave on the relationship, I kind of bought the relationship. I mean, from the stupid, goofy song and the goofy face she gave, like that. I mean, Jamie's shaking her head at it right now.
I wanted to fucking murder them at that scene. I hated it.
For whatever reason, it resonated with me. I'm like, yeah, it seemed very, very real, but like not like it's corny real, like because that is some stupid stuff that like me and my parents on a road trip totally would have done. Some stupid stuff that, and by say parents, my dad would sit there silently ignoring us all while my mom put that song on, and we would be goofing around with it in the backseat.
Oh, we did corny shit on road trips as children. It annoyed the fuck out of me as those two grown adults acting like that. I was just like,
well, don't take a road trip with me because I'll probably end up doing something like that.
I'm that asshole
are rocking out
that thinks it's funny at least every 10, 20 miles from like, and on your left, here is a rock. And on your right, there's another tree. Probably why Mary goes to sleep pretty quickly into our road trips. And you know what? Doesn't stop me.
Well, and I'm interested because of the way that you both reacted to this movie, because John, I had the same experience you did, to where it kept coming up. And my one grievance with the movie poster for this, the key art, is that it shows the bear. So your presumption is the bear attack. But the way the movie plays out is it's much more of a thriller mystery. Like if you didn't tell me expect a bear attack and then you gave me a bear attack, this is a much better movie. Like if it's just are they going to get lost? Is it a survival story?
That's how I watched it. I had no clue.
Because like they kind of bring up the crazy Irishman.
Exactly.
Like if you would add some hints that the Irishman's following them, you'd be like, oh, it's the Irishman.
It's a slasher. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but they don't, and that's why I lost all interest. Like Eric Balfour shows up, which he must know someone then, because I'm not trying to make it like he's an Academy Award, but he is a well-known like face. Like you know, we've seen him in a lot. Like he just is like, and so you cast someone that people know, and you put him in this role as a red herring or as whatever to antagonize whatever. But like he never ever comes up again at all, except for like, is it him outside or whatever they say? Like when they think he's, but like there's no like, where is my little like hinting at maybe it's him or seeing something or like hearing like steps maybe, but like I don't know, like he is completely dropped. That as I'm watching this, I couldn't figure out if I missed a scene that he died or I missed something until he just shows up randomly at the end. Just totally, they just put him there to remind you that they paid him or he's a friend and that they got him in this movie.
Well, you know that he and Jen end up married and that they live happily ever after.
And
that's what I kind of figured. That was the epilogue I wrote for myself.
They ended up together. And he's like, oh, good, you already have a ring. I don't even have to buy one.
Perfect.
Well, and to be fair, remember, this came out in 2015, and I think it was shot in 13 and 14. So
both came out in 14.
Oh, it came out in 14. So it was probably shot in 12, 13. But anyway, my point being, this is a decade after Balfour sort of had his moment. So I'd say I think the rose was off the bud a little bit with him. So maybe this was something that he could.
Isn't he still doing stuff though?
He was trying to play a lot of TV stuff.
Yeah, he does a lot of TV.
His face is super recognizable.
It's super recognizable. That's the thing.
I mean, well, during this, he was doing that shitty TV show on Sci-Fi called Haven.
Yeah, okay. I'm looking at that. Yeah, 5 years.
And
I mean, I still remember him 6 Feet Under, but that's like a different like.
Oh, really? That was pretty prestigious for him.
It was probably
he was a regular on 6 Feet Under.
And they're like, hey, do you think we get a big name? Because even that girl that played the fiance, whatever, she was like kind of on the back end of her moment because she was in that gymnastics movie that was real popular there for a hot minute.
What?
No,
there was there was that high school gymnastics movie that was real popular, Stick It or something. I don't know,
but whatever you're describing, I feel like you can't compare it to his career. Her having one.
Well, no, I'm not.
High school movie.
I'm saying like she was kind of like that was right off the heels of that.
I'm looking her up because I see it. I've never heard of Stick It in my life.
It's like Stick It or
yeah, it's Stick It. I've never heard of it in my life. After running with the law, Haley Graham is forced to return to the world from which she fled, enrolled in elite gymnastics program. I've never heard of this in my life.
Add it to the list.
It was like popular for like high school kids at the time.
Well, I wasn't in high school in 2006. I guess that's why.
And so like it was a couple years after that. She did like some like TV show. Like she was on Heroes. I know her character was kind of popular in Heroes for a hot minute.
This is good.
I think she was on the second season, which for some reason people like, and I'm like, I don't know why, because that was like the worst season.
Well, I didn't watch any of it.
Her name is Missy Peregrym, which I think is a great name. And am I the only one that had the experience of every time she was on the screen, I got very strong Hilary Swank energy?
Yeah, it's that, I think that chin, the prominent chin.
Yeah.
She reminded me of someone else, but I can't remember who now. Like when I was watching it, it clicked. It was like, but it wasn't. I see what you're saying, but that's not. There was someone else too. She's like probably one of those actresses that like can mold into like remind you of other people and like, but it's not that person.
It's weird. I don't like Hilary Swank, so I don't think about her. So I don't see it.
Okay. I don't like Hilary Swank either, but. Okay, Office episode, but I have a feeling Eli. I know what side Eli and I are on in that episode, but
Hilary Swank go hell. That's all I'm saying.
She's not hot. I just want to say that.
And I like Voodoo. She did maybe one of the worst Voodoo movies I've ever seen in my life.
What movie?
That shitty one with Goldie Hawn's daughter. I think Goldie Hawn's daughter was in it.
I know, but what's the? Okay,
I can't remember the name of the movie. It's just some shitty Voodoo movie I remember hated that Hilary Swank was in.
Okay.
Skeleton Key?
What?
Skeleton Key?
Yeah, that's it. That shitty one.
Wow. Dave, that I felt like I just did like 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon based on some very random weird.
Is that even Voodoo? Is it Voodoo Skeleton Key?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think it was.
I didn't know it was Voodoo, but you said Goldie Hawn's daughter, so I pretty much narrowed.
Yeah, you went that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was real surprised. I don't know if y'all noticed when I was watching this that this.
No, hers is The Reaping. I'm sorry. Hers is called The Reaping, not Skeleton Key.
See, it didn't even get there. Damn it.
Oh, I remember The Reaping. That's the Revelation.
Yeah,
so can we go backwards and tell me that Skeleton Key is not Voodoo, right? Like,
well, no, Skeleton Key is still because Skeleton Key is with Goldie Hawn's daughter.
Yeah, I know that. But
okay.
That is still that is possession, voodoo, possession, repossession.
Oh man! Okay. Wow, who knew? All that voodoo.
The Reaping, Dave, was like they like made you think it was voodoo, and they're like, nope, it's the Book of Revelation.
Oh snap!
Skeleton Key also was a different movie I was thinking of. Anyway, the movie we watched for this, which is not Skeleton Key.
So, and you know, it's hard to put yourself in this perspective. I totally get that, but as I've thought about this movie, I think it does benefit from not focusing so much on the bear attack. Like if the marketing had focused more on the backcountry trip, where kind of like Perfect Getaway, where you don't focus on a thing that's going to happen more than you focus on this activity or this adventure that these two people are going on. I think it would have been a much better movie, because then you have the WTF moment of the bear attack. Yeah. And then now what are you going to do? But since they went so heavy when it's a bear attack creature feature movie, which it is not, in my opinion, I think it would have been received better.
Well, to your point, I watched it. I had no clue what this movie was about. I remember the reason I watched it, I was hanging out with a friend and they were like, they wanted to watch it because that Stick It girl was in it. And they're like, it's supposed to be a horror movie or something. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And so like, as it's going, I'm like, and like, did you see that animal? I'm like, I wonder if it's like werewolf or something. And then they're in that tent and then just like the boom. And I was like, holy shit. Like it was, like, it was jarring. And then like, maybe that's the perfect state of mind to watch it, because then like, you know, as she's trying to get away, the whole time I'm just like, is that how that bear come back? Like, what the hell just happened? Like, oh my God. And like, it was crazy. And like, it was like, and like it was like such a unique experience watching that. And that's what I was looking up, and I was like, saw it's based on a real bear attack, which was kind of shorter than this and not as much going on. But and like I still just like the way they did that bear attack. But like watching it blind, like it almost like just rips you out of left field. Like you have no clue it's coming. Yeah. It was so good.
Yeah, if they had buried the lead, it would have paid off a lot better.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion. So I don't know if y'all had the experience when you watched this. Did you look at the ratings? Because I thought that was very interesting too. Because I had never seen a movie of this caliber. This thing's got like a freaking critics rating of 92%. The tomato meter on this thing is 92% with the critics.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't
The audience score is 53%. I think I guess that's what I expected the critics to do, but I thought that was very interesting that there was such a disparaging or such a disparity between the two groups that reviewed this.
I would like to see the year that those reviews were published. I would have I have a guess that it's probably really close to the release. They probably were at the festival, and usually those festivals, at least from a couple of people I've talked to that have been to, it's one of those things where there's a lot of turds in the punch bowl. So
there's a couple of darlings at the festival.
And this might have been like, oh, this was like semi-competently made, so we're gonna love all over it. And it's also indie, so it's like you have that context. Like I kind of got that vibe, and I was like, okay, this is so really well done, especially for the time. Like no CG, and I know the bear thing. Like I knew exactly what Jaime was talking about, but I was like, all right, I'm gonna cut you some slack because I know you probably were on a shoestring budget. I had no idea it was that low, and that makes it even more impressive.
Mm-hmm. But it costs less to make this than it did Clerks.
That's so crazy. You put that in
Clerks was like 20,000. This was like 7,000 less than Clerks.
We gotta adjust that for inflation, though.
But Clerks is a way better movie.
It is a way better movie. It's better written.
Another thing to keep in mind is they shot this entire movie with animal wrangling and all the effects. They shot this entire friggin' movie in 16 days.
Mm-hmm.
What?
The whole friggin' thing in 16 days.
They were
I
just
don't know.
staying
I could see that. They didn't do anything. There was just conversation for an hour and 25 minutes.
Yeah, you'd spend 3 days
running.
getting coverage of the actors, and then you'd spend the rest of the time getting the bear to do what you
The bear and scenery. And they spent the whole time trying to wrangle the bear without doing it. Like they're like, all right, guys, he doesn't want to stand today. We're just
Not today. It's not going to happen.
I will say this though, beautiful scenery. I love the location.
The colored trees were pretty. I will say that when they zoomed out and all the trees were different colors from above, I did notice that. I was like, oh, that's pretty.
And I do love the idea of, and I've been there before, when you're on a trail where you know you're supposed to connect to a spur trail that kind of kicks off the main trail, and you're constantly seeing these game trails, which is what they ended up on. They ended up on the Bears Trail. Spoiler alert. And by the way, to the earlier conversation we had, audience, there is absolutely no bear attack in this movie. So just go see it. There's no bear attack. But anyway, I did find it interesting that was very realistic. Like he's out there without a map, flying by the seat of his pants, pulling stuff out of his ass. And he ends up on a game trail, which is what you would do in that situation.
But what did he fail, Dave? What do you do as soon as you realize you're on a game trail? You look for shit or tracks. And you determine what kind of game trail it is by shit or tracks.
And once you see a bear bed and a kill, you go home.
Very quickly.
Not this guy, because he knows better.
Because I remember even like growing up, like we'd go and I'd be like, I would like get a couple feet in. I'm like, is there deer shit around here? Like I'm looking like, okay, it's a deer trail. All right, I'm okay.
By the way, if you ever walk in on a bear bed, just for free information that's worth every penny you're paying for it, you're going to smell a bear bed long before you actually see the dugout, because those things friggin' reek. They just smell like death.
Oh, gross. Well, I did find something interesting in IMDb. In the career of our wonderful lead actor in this, I believe his name is Jeff Roop.
Poop.
Yes.
Jeff Poop. He was in a TV movie that I'm sure Eli is just dying to watch. The Secret Sex Life of a Single Mom.
Ooh.
I know.
I do not want to watch that.
This is what I think that was his point. This is
Is that the only other thing he did?
That's the only other.
That was right before this movie.
Oh,
and like
he got cast in this.
No wonder they casted him in this. Because like we got $13,000, and the only thing he's done is a movie about having sex with a mom.
I mean,
he did for pennies on the dollar.
He did some other stuff, but I'm not gonna say it's like better based on title alone because I'm not gonna watch him.
Bro, he was in Vampire High.
What?
Come on, guy.
I missed that one.
I have no clue what that
No, no. He was in Suits, which I know there's just like few people in this world that watch that stuff.
Also,
Sure.
when he's in something, I'm sure it's like Man in Store number 2. Like,
He played Kurt Baxter in Suits, one episode.
yeah, it's like
And
There's-
Suits,
You're right.
they
If you're-
gave someone a name of like a
Yeah.
guy. I don't know. I've never watched Suits, so
yeah, if you're catalog model attractive, you were in Suits at some point.
yeah.
That's
True.
just what that show is.
That's true.
So I have one question, and I mentioned it sort of as I talked about my experience with this movie, but I want you all to play the Dave game here for a minute.
Oh,
So
the Dave game.
For each of you, what do you think the biggest mistake that Alex made was, and then what was the biggest mistake Jen made?
All right.
His
Alex's biggest mistake, deciding to propose at that place he didn't know where he was going.
yeah, that's
The
what I
whole-
was gonna
before
say.
the whole plan.
His
Before
mistake
that's what I was
before the
gonna
movie
say.
even started. Mistake
Whole
number
plan.
one. Mistake
Yeah.
number one. Mistake number two, or the mistake for her, getting with that guy. Because anybody that like talks about the woods like that, but's never taken you to the woods before, tells you one, they don't like the woods that
Wait,
much.
no, because she may have insisted on never going. Let's be honest. Like, I'm not a big
But like,
take me to
okay,
the woods
but
and
like
make me
he's never
sleep in a
go-
tent
like
person.
he's never gone to the woods by himself though. Like, you know what I mean? Like the guy's not made
Maybe
any
he
attempt.
has.
I don't know.
She said she's never been. She said this was her first. She said it was her first
listen,
like trip or
Yeah, he's got
something.
random knowledge. He knows how to build a fire. He knows what a
knows how
bear
to build
bed
fire
is.
with no.
He knows what wintergreen is.
Listen, all I'm saying, right? Mary and I have been together for 8 years, right? There are things that hobbies and stuff that I do that she is most certainly hates, but I've always talked her into it once. You know, like, hey, let's watch this movie once. Hey, let's you do it. You always do it. So like he would have gone in the woods once before, like
I don't
not
know.
that long,
Asking
not
her to camp in the woods is
not
like
camp, but like even taking a hike or like, oh, these aren't really woods. This is a big trail. Something. Not to hey,
He
here's
knew
my
better.
magical disappearing waterfall that I went to once when I was 4.
He knew
Yeah,
this was his one and only shot.
She should have been with that loser. I heard he had sex with stepmom, so she should have gone with that loser.
Single moms, Eli. Let's be fair.
Whatever.
Well, and to your point, and I've heard of people doing that, and unfortunately, this is a thing that breaks a lot of relationships up because you'll have one person that's very outdoors and one that's not. For the love of God, your first hike should not be a backcountry hike. Your first backpacking trip should not be a backpacking or a backcountry trip. You should work up to that because when you're backcountry, the problem is you are freaking backcountry. There is no one coming. There is no cell signal. And I'll get to this in a minute, but that was a horseshit moment when he reveals, "Oh, I took your phone out of your
Oh
pack
my
and threw it back in
god,
the car."
I can't. Holy shit.
That's when you murder him.
Yeah, that was on cliche list that I forgot
Listen,
to list. It says
you know, like-
took her phone.
That was not the first time that dude was a clown. He was a
Oh, yeah.
clown from the
No, but
day
that goes-
she met him.
it
She
goes
shouldn't
with-
even dated him.
That goes with Juno taking the fucking maps in the
Oh,
descent.
yeah.
I mean, you
It's
don't
exactly the
ever
Mess with
take
somebody
the
else's
thing
security.
yeah,
Hey,
ever.
Juno's different. She was in a better movie. Okay.
She was a scumbag. Yeah,
She
it's
was
a
in a
much
better
better
movie.
movie.
Would that
but
phone
she's
have
still
been
a
dead by the
scumbag.
end of the second day?
Yes.
Sure, but that's not the
Yeah.
problem.
Exactly.
Because you could use the flashlight on it.
Exactly.
We
But
could have
it-
even done that. Like, had the phone just die, and that's
Yeah.
like a better. Taking
Shout-
it is bullshit. It's
Yeah.
such
Shout out to the
bullshit.
BlackBerry though.
Was it a BlackBerry? I
Yeah, it
didn't
was a BlackBerry.
Yeah, it was with the.
And then when he's like,
old
"Let's take a
keyboard.
picture," I'm like, "With what?"
That's going to be a garbage photo, sir.
Mhm. I'll never forget the BlackBerry when I worked at AT or a cell phone company store. Quick. The BlackBerry tried to make a comeback.
Oh
and so they
yeah.
made the world's longest goddamn phone. It was like 2 feet long almost. And like the keyboard was like real skinny. And like when you were typing on it, it flopped. Like it wasn't 2 feet long, but it was like ridiculously long for the phone, but they still put the same BlackBerry keyboard on the bottom. So like as you were trying to type on it, it would like flop because it was
Excellent.
the screen was too big.
I never had a BlackBerry, but like they did towards that end. I mean, they tried to make ones that competed with the iPhone, so they were trying to get like real.
That was
fancy
that was that last one, yeah, and like
they were trying to get real fancy. And this, what year is this? This probably was that BlackBerry, like the like because
this was an old school.
No, this was the old school one.
Was it? Oh,
yeah.
Well, no, that was the thing. All BlackBerries had physical keyboard.
Yeah, they all had.
It's called the Palm, wasn't it?
Yeah. Palm Pilot or whatever.
Yeah, but even those, like they had some smaller ones towards the end because like everybody at work, like at the time, they weren't giving out iPhones; they were giving out BlackBerries for work devices.
No, I'm just saying the last model BlackBerry actually did though was that.
The BlackBerry was what real business handed on.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Listen, there it was. You knew the BlackBerry people.
Type full things on it. You can do that on a touchscreen. Type full things on it.
People could,
I'll have to type out my emails on this.
Put a SIM card and memory card. BlackBerry.
Can you pull up your PDFs on your phone? I think none, but I can.
Wait, you mean that iPhone can? Oh, and it's not real long and stupid? Oh, man, okay.
I don't know. Wait, listen. I had the iPhone from 3 or something. If you look, like they were fucking small, and that keyboard was not the most. If you're typing out mass emails, that keyboard was not the greatest. Let's be honest. And I still have an iPhone in 2020. I'm up to whatever we're up, but like. The keyboard was not the greatest.
But the BlackBerry was like half the size of those little physical keyboards. Were so tiny. How could you type on that
I can. I have really long nails. But
remember how they had that stupid mouth ball in it?
Yes.
That stupid, like, oh my God. Oh, I hated that.
Roller.
I hated it.
Well, it sounds like we've said our piece about Backcountry.
About BlackBerries. They go to hell.
Yeah, the BlackBerry, that was the biggest mistake, Dave. She had a BlackBerry.
Exactly.
Her biggest mistake, I think, I'm not even going to play Dave for a moment, or maybe I'm going to play Dave in the dad role. Her biggest mistake was inviting a fucking stranger to hang out with them for dinner. Granted, he cooked for them, and granted, he was a red herring, but you're in the middle of nowhere, and there's no one to help you. Granted, it got much worse to them. You don't really ask a stranger to chill and hang out at, like, I don't know, like, again, if they wanted to make this movie better, they could have implied he was like a serial killer or something, or like, you know, I don't know. That was her dumb moment, was inviting this man. And then she literally turns to her boyfriend and is just like, I didn't know what to do. What do you mean you didn't know what to do?
See, the bigger twist would have been having the crazy guy you thought was crazy come and save them from the bear.
I thought he was going to.
Me too.
Really was waiting for him to come back and do that or do something. And like, but then I realized we're not even getting any more bear, let alone any more Eric Balfour in this movie.
It did seem like he was the one that was actually capable.
Yes.
And I think that, and honestly, about and again, I don't want to harp on this, but the dialogue they had around the campfire was pretty smart in that he was kind of filling out Alex in a lot of ways. And you could tell that he knew by the time he left that this guy was incompetent. Like, this guy's a joke, but he left anyway. But a lot of the questions he was asking, like when he was asking about the waterfall and which side of the waterfall is it that people usually climb up, and he watched Alex. It wasn't that Alex gave the right answer. It was that he knew Alex was guessing, and he called him out on it. That, well, that's a good guess, Alex. It was interesting that you could see somebody kind of filling out somebody who talks a big game but does not spend a lot of time in the woods, but then lets them go and kind of makes him responsible in a lot of ways for what happens next. Because
that's what I was about. As you're saying that, I was about to say, like, well, if he was a decent person, I understand we can't all build, but like he would have kept tabs on them or kept an eye on them or something. Like, if you're just a decent human being, if you're a decent human being, like, and you could tell by talking to this guy that this is going to go all like sorts of wrong. Like, come on, do something. Don't just be like, see ya.
Yeah, good luck.
You're going to be lost out here.
See, I've been
never
like,
coming back.
That guy's a tool, and I watched her drop her BlackBerry in the parking lot. I don't want no part of it.
Well, and it's interesting because you almost get the sense that Alex is got this ideal kind of picture of what being outdoors is, because the first thing he recommends they do is go skinny dipping, and then he's going to build this great fire. And that's sort of the pinnacle of his skill. He keeps harping on, I can build a fire without matches. Okay, fantastic.
I do think it's weird, and I'm not judging anybody's like proposal ideas because, God, I've seen them all and heard them all, and everything works for different couples. But I found it interesting that this proposal plan and maybe this goes to speak about him, like all revolved around his interest. Like nothing about this was geared towards her at all. Like
it wasn't about them.
Never been hiking. She doesn't no interest in this waterfall, whether he's tied to it or not. But maybe it's like, oh, a place he always imagined. And I get that. Some people, it's because it's special to him, kind of. Yeah. But it was just an interesting, like, I don't know. I guess a lot of people have that. It would have been a surprise. So I get it, like, because she would not have expected it, I guess, at all on a hike. Like, right. But I don't know.
Well, but to your point, that's sort of the thing we get within the conversations they have, is that there is a power imbalance that he's trying desperately to rebalance the scales with his outdoor skills, because she's obviously more successful in her career. She's probably more intelligent than him. And that's not a judgment. That's just in the conversations that they're having. She plays much more intelligent than he is. He's much more self-conscious. He's not very confident in what he's doing. But this was sort of the arena within which he could kind of show off, and it goes pear-shaped, which obviously it's going to, because that's a bad way to prove yourself, is by half-assing a backcountry trip.
Yeah, that's so dumb. It's just so dumb.
Any other thoughts on backcountry?
I love that bear attack.
It's a good one. It's just 2
dumb.
minutes. Jaime just needs an hour of that, and
I need a lot more than the 2 minutes.
She needs some more gore.
Less walking.
She wants to see the attack.
Yeah, less walking in the woods, more bear, more cocaine, more hilarity.
So I do have a couple of pieces of fun trivia that I wanted to share, and Eli kind of shared this first one, which I thought was interesting. Is this is based, and I didn't know it in my first few watches, this is based on a true story. It happened in 2005. It's in Mississippi, and I'm going to butcher this, so I apologize to our Canadian listeners. Mississauga Lake in Ontario. The interesting twist is in the real story. It was it's totally tragic and a real thing that happened. But in the real story, it was the husband, because they were already married. It was the husband that escaped and the wife that was attacked and killed by the bear. So it's just a horrible situation. The other thing that I thought was hilarious is if you see on the canoe, and I think there's a sign at the ranger station, that this fictional park is called Nib, and again, I'm going to butcher this name. I apologize. Nibuukaatso, which is an Ojibwe word. Ojibwe is the same language we talked about in Antlers, Eli, but it's indigenous people. But in Ojibwe, that translates directly to pretend to be a dead, which is the first rule of grizzly attacks. So that's the name of this park, is Pretend to be Dead Regional Park. Or
can I just point out, now, how does it feel, Dave? How does it feel trying to say words you have no clue how to say?
Things.
Yeah,
hey,
how does it feel? You know, giving me shit every campfire tales. I gotta ask, how does it feel? Yeah. You know, no matter how many times you look at a word, not knowing how you're gonna say it.
Yeah, I started with the apology because I know I'm wrong, but I apologize. If anybody wants to correct me, I will receive that correction, and I will be a better person on the other end. The other thing, and we've talked about this a couple of times, I think John and Eli both brought this up, the whole Balfour's character having an Irish accent. That was totally Balfour's idea, which of course it was.
That's the only explanation, because it served no purpose.
Exactly. Like he came on to set and said, "I think I'll do a Irish accent is what I'll do."
What's really funny is I was going to guess that. I was going to make that as a joke. I was going to say he must have just showed up and did it, and they were like, "Okay, just."
Well, they're like, he's not getting a paycheck because there's only 13,000 make this, so we're not going to question him.
It's like, I need something to put out in the, like, what I can do to make myself more valuable for other productions.
5 minutes in this movie. What can I make the most of this 5 minutes?
He's like, you still got to say lines? He's like, yep. You're like, okay, go ahead.
Thanks, Eric.
Any other thoughts on Backcountry? Okay, fair enough. Well, I think we've said our piece. I do have a critter corner. Dave's Critter Corner is now open for business, and we are, going back for Ursus Americanus 2.0. We're going to keep talking about the black bear. The first thing that I thought was interesting is that when the writer-director Adam MacDonald was putting this together, he had originally written a grizzly, and then the more study he did, he realized that a black bear was a much more compelling situation than the grizzly was, because grizzlies had been done in movies so many times. The black bear really hadn't been kind of used as an antagonist within movies until our recent cocaine bear. But as we've talked about, go ahead.
Oh, but what was the true story? You said as he was writing this, but do we know what bear it was in the
I
true
believe
story?
the true story was a grizzly.
Yeah, it was Ontario. It was a grizzly, which it could have been a black bear. They're already up there, but I believe it was a grizzly. I'm pretty confident you're right, Eli. So, few fun facts to add to our our growing library of knowledge of black bears, which is, as we've talked about before, is one of Dave's favorites. I do have a fun couple of things. Black bears are so timid because they didn't used to be the apex predator in the areas within which they hunt. The ecosystems, they used to compete, and I thought this blew my mind. Black bears used to compete with things like saber-toothed cats, American lions, dire wolves, and the infamous short-faced bear, which was a very aggressive bear, 12,000 years ago. So that it isn't that the people made black bears timid, it's because they didn't used to be the apex predator. The reason that they currently exist as the apex predator is because they outlived all those other much more aggressive species that were out there, which I think is very interesting. That timid attitude has served the black bear well as humans have migrated into their territories. That makes them generally much less likely for an event like what you see in Backcountry to happen. It's, obviously that is all very turned to 11, the way a black bear behaved in the movie. Grizzlies are actually like 20 times more dangerous in an encounter than a black bear is, because the black bears will usually, once they realize you're not an easy food source, they'll just leave. Usually when you have a black bear, and this has been my experience too, if you have a black bear around your house, if you have a black bear around your campsite, it's because you have not done your due diligence in storing all the food in an area away from your campsite. They don't want you, they want the food. And I did think it was interesting in this that Alex, it does show specifically Alex putting the bear bags and hanging in the trees the way you want to, but it never showed us, like, did he hang them like 20 feet from where their tent was? Because that really doesn't do anything other than put a big potpourri over the whole campsite of what food smells like. But anyway, grizzlies are much more likely to do an attack like what you saw here than a black bear is. In both cases, the more remote the area is, like the backcountry, the more likely an attack is to occur, because the problem is in a backcountry area, just by its very definition, there are much, much fewer people out there. So the animals, whether it's a bear or an elk or a deer, they don't know how to deal with people because people aren't part of their ecosystem. They're not part of their day-to-day. So you'll get more bear attacks or any sort of attack, mountain lion, whatever, in backcountry areas, just because the people are this sort of alien group of food source that just shows up and seems pretty timid and incompetent. So that's why you see a lot of the attacks happening in the backcountry. Now, as Jaime and John know, since we drove around the Smoky Mountain National Park, there are bears that will wander into people's cabin areas or into their campgrounds there that are not going to attack, because they understand that people bring food, and the food is what I want. I don't want the people, I want the food. But in the backcountry, it can get a little more tense. I thought this was interesting. Bears in general have the highest brain to body mass ratio and are considered the most intelligent of all the carnivores and predators in North America. So they've got that going for them. Big brain bears are out there.
That's why they can figure out how to open trash cans and dumpsters and stuff.
And of the three of the four that we have in North America, being the black, brown, grizzly, and polar, I think the grizzly is the most intelligent of all the bears that we have, just because of their size and their brain mass.
That actually may be changing, because you are feeding the fifth new species of
the growler,
the growler bear. And they actually believe they may be the more intelligent bear.
Oh, well, fantastic.
They're trying to test now, but they are super fucking aggressive, and apparently it's very hard.
Growler bears are actually developing laser weapons, aren't they?
That's what I heard on their backs.
Exactly.
That part, that would just make it worse. But growler bears are real. they're the largest, most aggressive bear species in the world.
So if it isn't great. If it isn't the aliens or the AI or the,
can we just point how magnificent nature is? You had the largest bear breed start to move south, where it met the most aggressive bear breed. First off, somehow they decided to mate, right? One. Two, sure. Then nature in its most fucked up way goes, you know what? We're just going to get this new thing, the best of both. The best of both. And now you have the largest, most aggressive bear that's like this translucent brown color, which is even more fucked up because it looks like an alien. I don't even know.
Let's just all agree we're screwed. As a
either way, sure. Why not?
2 more fun facts, and then we'll close this bad boy out. So I thought it was interesting. And there's actually a lot of research going on right now about this because it's sort of a new-ish discovery within the last 20 years. But bears are one of the few predators that practice cannibalism, both infantilism, where they eat their young, but they also eat each other. And it's usually a situation, unfortunately, where their territory has been infringed upon by humans, their food source goes away, so they start eating each other. But they're one of the few species that seem capable of doing that. And I think that kind of goes to the intelligence of, if my other food sources are gone, I need less of us around. So we're going to eat each other. But unfortunately, they are one of the few that practice cannibalism. And there's a lot of research about that right now. Black bears on average, this is my last fun fact. Black bears on average have about a 20-year lifespan. I didn't know that. I thought they lived much longer than that, but they live about 20 years in the wild. In captivities, black bears do not do well at all. And that's all I'll say about that without getting overly aggressive or emotional. But let them be wild, and they'll live about 20 years.
Are you a growler bear?
I'm a growler bear apologist. I'll say that.
Oh, okay. All right. I mean, if anything, we are the reasons growler bear exists, right?
We are the problem.
We are the reason. Like, polar bears should not be like, we need to go south because our shit's melting. That's on us, people.
That is 100% us.
We signed our death certificate.
So, Eli, what are we following up Backcountry on Campfire Tales?
I was looking. This story based on a true story about bear attack. Not a very big story. Tragic story. Most bear attack stories aren't great stories. They're quick,
of course.
And it's like bear attacked, person died, or bear attacked, person managed to drag themselves out of the woods, were fucked up the rest of their life. So I was trying to figure out what to do, And do you know, in the deep, quietest parts of the internet, people speak the Campfire Tales, and they say we go after these cryptids and monsters, and we show respect to the ones that deserve it, and then the fakers we bring to the light. And I've had a burr up my ass for 2 weeks, and I thought, you know what? I think we're going to point out and call out, bring to trial a cryptid I think needs to be brought to light to see if it deserves our respect or not.
Okay.
And I said, and also because no movie we'll never do a movie about it, because the 2 movies they made is only if we watch on Sci-Fi, and I refuse to do it. So we're going to New Jersey, people, and we're fucking calling out your New Jersey devil, bringing him to the light, and see if he deserves to be a woods cryptid or if he's just a piece of shit.
If he's just an asshole.
Okay.
He's just an asshole. Just an asshole prancing around in the woods with his little hoof fingers, and his mom who just had to have a demon baby.
That's going to be awesome. So next week, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be talking Jersey Devil. And I know just enough about that story to be totally ignorant. I know enough I've seen the pictures. He strikes a silhouette.
Let me put it this way. I quite imagine a large part of the conversation will be making fun of his mother.
Ooh, wow! Yeah. You're going straight to below.
Hey, I got you know what? I'm tired of all these New Jerseyans being like, "Oh, we got the best. We got the New Jersey Devil. Look, we named our hockey team after it." Well, you know what? I'll be the judge of that.
Wow!
I'll be the judge of that.
It's very accusatory.
New Jersey
going hard after Jersey. I don't know.
I mean, I don't think most people from New Jersey are proud of anything, but okay.
Well, they're proud state.
They're proud enough to name their hockey team after it.
Sorry, friends from New Jersey. Yeah.
They don't go to squonk.
I forgot to say the most important thing about this movie, and it's just for the end. At least they don't hunt the bear down. That's all I have to say.
The bear goes and lives its life.
Because they were only able to put him in the movie for 2 minutes, that they couldn't even deal with that. They were like,
Yeah, for those that have listened to our episode at all, I would assume that you would know at this point, if we watched a movie where the animal is abused in any way or not giving the ability to go have a quality of life, either I or Jaime would have made that the first statements we talked about.
Yeah, true. You're right.
So we would have talked at the first of it. So just know that for future reference. If a dog dies, that's the first thing we're going to talk about. Like the 30 Days of Night. That's the first thing Dave wanted to talk about because that's horseshit. Anyway, so if you like the episode, we certainly appreciate you listening. We do ask that you would subscribe, rate the show if you're feeling up to it. If you want to learn more about the podcast or the host, you can go to our website. It's thewickedwild.com. We do have a couple of fun pieces of merch, t-shirts, and that kind of stuff with our logos on them. If you want to follow us on social media, you've got a couple of options. You can follow us on Twitter at wickedwildweare or Slasher, which is the horror community app. And we're also at Wicked While We Are on there. We also release the day after. So all of our episodes release on Mondays. On Tuesdays, we release our YouTube video of the same episode. If you want to see our shining faces while we talk about this stuff, you can find us on YouTube. Just search the Wicked Wild Podcast. You'll find us there. If you have any questions or comments or any feedback that you want to give to me directly about the show format or about any of the stuff that we cover, if you have any questions or key insights that we might have discussed on the episode, you can send those to my email, podcast, podcast, at thewickedwild.com. Anything else? Anybody got anything exciting going on this week?
Yeah, besides us coming for New Jersey. Prepare yourself, New Jersey.
Just calling it. It's like a WWE match.
Listen, I've had enough of it. It's Jersey Devil nonsense, okay? I'm gonna grab it right by its horns, and I'll be the judge. Jury. Okay. Potentially executioner.
Anything else anybody wants to promote? Eli, anything else going on?
Yeah. I'm also on a podcast called Lord Master the Absurd, where we cover the absurd films of 70s, 80s, and 90s. You can listen to episodes wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also check us out on YouTube where we put the episodes. We also have we have some new shows coming out on YouTube as well. We're going to dabble in that a little bit. So exciting stuff there. You can check out our website, lordmasterthird.com, Instagram at lordmasterthird, and follow us on the Facebooks.
The Facebooks.
I don't have a Facebook, but our show does. So follow us on them Facebooks with your GG bytes and your intranets.
Yeah, if you're 80 and you like this,
Jaime is reading my mind now.
Hey, listen, even 80 listen.
My grandma's on Facebook.
You know what? Yeah. We already decided your grandma was going to make me spaghetti.
Allows you to have access to a portable PC.
No, she already said her grandma's going to make me spaghetti when we go up to smell her pee home.
Oh, my grandma doesn't live in she doesn't live in Staten Island anymore.
What? Oh. God damn it, Jaime. Now, how else am I going to look at this bowling alley?
She's freaking 92. What do you want
an
from
asylum that smelled like
Eli,
pee that your mother was in?
Eli, guess where she moved?
Where?
Florida.
New Jersey.
Oh, New Jersey.
Is she by I think it's the Barrow Woods, where they call it?
I don't know. You have to tell me where they are. We'll have to look it up. We'll have to go to the map.
You have to ask her.
Go to a map.
Okay. I may still get my cryptid and spaghettis. That's all that matters.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a different one.
Without the pee smell, even better.
John, anything else you've got going on you want to shout out?
Absolutely nothing, Dave. Just everything here, keeping it wicked, keeping it wild.
We get 100% of John. What about
all
you, Jaime?
All day, every day.
Nope, I'm good.
Nothing. This is all she can stand at this point.
This is not stand.
We get your energy.
So I can give my energy outside of work too. This is it.
Well, thank you all for listening. As we always end, and of course, this is a relevant statement for this particular movie. Our recommendation to you is you get out there and get yourself lost, like this poor couple did, because it may be the only place you can find yourself.
Except for you, New Jersey.
Holy crap! I went full Jerry Springer there. Sorry about that.
A little bit.